Happy New Year, and welcome back to Just Me and the Watch. The other day, YouTube notified me that this channel has received 1,000 views. That means 1,000 of you out there have tuned in to watch my videos and listen to me talk about watches. And I couldn't be more excited, and I'm so appreciative. Thank you all very much. So if you find yourself watching this video today, please let's put those views to work by liking and subscribing. One of the reasons why I got interested in watch collecting is because I had an interest in military history and the timepieces that have been a part of military culture. Looking at military watches led me to get into other types of watches and learn about the history of some of the functions and characteristics of those. In particular, I'm thinking about sports watches, chronographs, divers as a category. So I wanted to share a watch with you today that was one of my earliest acquisitions, and in keeping with that military interest, this watch has a direct connection to the Italian Navy, or the Marina Militare, and I'm sure I didn't pronounce that correctly, but here we go. At this point, you might be thinking that I'm going to give you some history about Panerai. The brand started in Florence, Italy by Giovanni Panerai in 1860 that grew into one of the largest distributors of Swiss watches in Italy. You might be thinking I'm going to tell you about their rise to prominence among military divers under the leadership of Benito Mussolini and how Panerai watches were a crucial tool in the birth of combat diving operations for the Axis powers during World War II, and they helped usher in a whole new kind of military special warfare and tactics which all modern-day combat divers can trace their lineage to. You might even be expecting me to point out how modern-day Hollywood has followed the lead of Sylvester Stallone and embraced the brand, and how the bold designs of Panerai watches can be found on the wrists of celebrities everywhere, from action stars to athletes. But you would be wrong. That's not the watch I actually want to talk to you about. See, almost everyone involved in this hobby is familiar with Panerai's military heritage. But I prefer to dig deeper and look for the more obscure connections and also the more affordable ones. So you don't have to spend used car money to own a piece of Italian military and horological history. Don't get me wrong, one day I will. I've got plans for the pieces that I want to eventually add to my collection, but today is not that day. Picture it, Italy, 1997. Panerai is no longer an official supplier of watches, and the Italian Navy is on the hunt for the next watch that will adorn the wrists of its combat divers. This watch will have to be accurate, durable, and able to withstand the rigors of military service. It also needs to be cost-effective. That same year, Citizen introduces the NY0040 Promaster automatic diver. At this point, the Promaster line has already developed a reputation for tough, reliable timepieces intended for use in the harshest conditions on land, in the air, or at sea. The new diver, which already had an ISO-rated depth of 200 meters, was taken off the shelf with no modifications and tested by the Italian Navy to a depth of 500 meters. They printed some new dials to indicate the updated depth rating and naval branding and then issued them. The NY0040 was official issue through the mid-2000s. The civilian version, which features Citizen branding, is one of the few true bargains left in the watch world. They are still in production and can be found new for under $200 without much effort. At 41.5 millimeters wide, 12 millimeters thick, it's a chunky watch, but it's still very wearable thanks to a 48 millimeter lug-to-lug. Most US market versions ship with a thick rubber strap with a no decompression or ND chart printed on them. The strap is stiff and uncomfortable, and I would swap it immediately. However, if I'm wearing this watch in harsh conditions, this strap is perfect. Frankly, if those conditions are harsh enough to damage this tough strap, I'd be more concerned about the arm wearing it at that point. The bezel is 60 clicks and locks into each position firmly and positively with no backplay whatsoever. Under the hood, we have a Miyota 8203 beating away that's good for about 45 hours of power reserve. The movement does not hack, but does allow hand winding. Which brings us to the crown. The prominent screw-down crown is located on the left side at the 8 o'clock position, which when worn on the left hand puts it completely out of the way of possible hazards, either from diving debris or pants pockets. Back to the dial, The black dialed versions come with this beautiful inky black reflective dial that almost appears bottomless in the right light. It sometimes looks like the indices are floating. Bold and angular hands and large lume-filled indices contribute to excellent legibility. The Diver's 200, just above the 6 o'clock, indicates ISO 6425 rating, which means this watch has had to endure all kinds of torture tests to make sure it'll function when you need it most. I liked this watch so much that I bought 3 of them. I'm missing the blue one, which I wasn't that interested in, but there's also a fully loomed version that has the gold tone bezel and crown that I'm still in the hunt for. All 3 of these have accompanied me on vacations, scuba diving excursions, and even to work while I sit at my desk all day. And they've only shrugged it off and asked for more. Here's a quick look at all 3 on my wrist. So there you have it. 3 pieces of my collection, all with a really cool military connection and just really great watches in general. I hope you enjoyed talking about the Citizen Promaster NY0040 with me today. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.